Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. So today I'm gonna start something new. I'm gonna try something new, which is commenting on Wendi Adelson's cross-examination, the first one. Because as we know, we have two footages of Wendi. One was the first cross-examination and the second one was 3 years apart, I think, was the retrial of Catherine McBanwa. We saw her also testifying. So in this live, I'm gonna dissect everything she says, everything she does in the first one, and then we're gonna do another part where I'm gonna dissect the second cross-examination, and then we're gonna like compare between them, because I think it's crucial that we have two footages of her 3 years apart. I mean, I think we can get something from there, from these two videos that we have online of her testifying. So let's get started.
She said about 45 minutes. Would we then break after theirs and use a prostitution? No. We're going to finish this with. I understand. I don't believe that we're going to be able to do that. That's up to you. You guys can secure the report for us.
Okay, let's.
All right. I took Kate into the doctor.
And did you know Dan Markell?
Yes, I did.
How did you know Mr. Markell?
He was my husband.
When did you meet him?
We met in 2004.
And when did you marry?
We married in 2006.
Did you ever live in Tallahassee?
I did live in Tallahassee.
When did you first move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee in the fall, August of 2005, and we lived in Tallahassee that academic year, so from 2005 until the summer of 2006, and then we spent a year living in Miami from 2006 to 2007, and then I lived back in Tallahassee from 2007 to 2014.
Why did you move to Tallahassee the first time?
The first time we moved to Tallahassee for Danny's job. He got a job at FSU Law School.
All right, and what about the second time?
And the second time we moved back to Tallahassee because he had tried to get a job at University of Miami Law School and it didn't work out.
All right, so both times it was for his employment?
Yes,
Okay, did you like living in Tallahassee?
I did.
All right, and did you live on Trescott Drive?
Okay, this is the first lie, in my opinion, and this is the biggest lie. Hear me out. So the prosecution asked, did you like living in Tallahassee? And she said, I did. We all know that she hated living in Tallahassee. We all know that the reason why this all happened was she was dreading living in Tallahassee. She even wrote that in one of her, actually there was a book that she wrote, like a novel or something, about a fictional character that's based on her. And in the book she says that, like, this character, her, hated living in Tallahassee, and she was very, like, trying so hard to move from there. And we all know that all of this happened because her parents hated that she lived in Tallahassee and that she had to be there just because of, like, the father was there. And this all happened because of that. Why lie about that? If you take it like lightly and you see her lying, like, yes, I did like living in Tallahassee, you would say, like, oh, I mean, maybe she liked it. But I don't think, like, I think her unconscious is telling her to lie, because unconsciously she knows, maybe consciously, she knows that all of this happened because she hated living in Tallahassee.
We did.
you lived there? How long you lived in Tallahassee?
That was our home.
And where are you from, Ms. Adelson?
I'm from Broward County originally.
Okay. And do you have family members in Broward currently?
I have one family member in Broward.
Where do you live currently? Or you can just tell us.
I live in Miami-Dade County.
And what about your parents? Where do they live?
They currently live in Miami-Dade County.
All right. And what about your brother, Charles Adelson?
He lives in Broward County.
He's the family
And
member.
do you have any children?
I do.
And how many children do you have?
I have 2 children.
What are their ages?
They are 10 and 8, turning 9 soon.
Okay. Both boys?
Both boys.
And both the biological children of Dan Markell?
Yes.
How are your family members employed, specifically your parents and your brother?
My mom is not currently working very much. She helps out with my dad's office. My dad is a dentist, and my brother Charlie is a periodontist.
And does your family have a dental practice in South Florida
They do.
that they own and operate?
They do.
Is your family in South Florida wealthy? And that's a relative term.
Are you asking me to speculate?
No, I'm asking if they're wealthy. You may, if you don't know, you say you don't know.
It depends how you define wealthy.
Are you asking me to speculate? Do you really need to speculate about whether your parents are wealthy or not? Don't you know, like, what do they wear, what kind of clothes they wear, what kind of house they live in, what kind of services do they have, what kind of food they eat, what kind of restaurants do they go to? You do, like, what kind of school did you go to and your brothers go to? What kind of education did you have? So you really need to speculate about that, if they are wealthy or not. It's a very, very simple question. Yes, they're well off, I would say, for example, but like do you need me to speculate? Seriously? I mean, especially them, especially Adelson's family, because they're very much involved in each other's life. We even know that actually Wendi has a joint account with her mom, a joint bank account with her mom. So apparently you have a certain information or perspective about how much money they do, how much money they have.
Are they millionaires?
No.
No, yeah, sure.
When did you separate from Mr. Markell?
We separated in the fall of 2012.
And was part of the reason for your disagreement or separation having to do with how to raise the children in terms of your faith?
Yes, we had different ways of practicing our faith.
Okay, so the question was one of the reasons, or the reason that you separated, how do you practice the faith, or we know what she's talking about. The prosecutor is talking about like Dan was very crucial about eating kosher and being kosher all the time, and she agreed with him before having kids to that. They had an agreement, whether you practice this or you don't practice this, whether you believe in eating kosher or not, but you had an agreement, and you are a lawyer. You know what an agreement is. You had an agreement with, this is very important for him, for Dan Markell. It may not be important for you, but it's important for him. Also, the question was that a reason for your separation? It wasn't if you practice the same faith or not, because we know that you two both practice, we don't practice the same faith, or you don't have the same practices of your faith, and that's okay and that's normal, because that's not the problem. She's making it sound as if Dan Markell was not accepting of her, how she practices her faith, but the contrary was right, because he I don't think he cared if she was kosher or not. He just wanted his kids to be kosher, and that was their agreement. You betrayed the agreement. That's what you did, and that's why this was a problem in your marriage, and that's why this led to separation, or this was one of the reasons that led to separation. She's making it seem as if like it's just a miscommunication. Like, yeah, we have different practices.
Do you know when you filed for divorce?
I believe it was the fall of 2012.
Okay, 9/10/2012 sound right to you?
That sounds right.
And when you separated initially in the fall of 2012, did you move to South Florida with the kids?
No, I did not.
You didn't go to South Florida with the kids?
No, I did not.
Was it your desire during that time to move with the children to South Florida?
I would say right then, no, it wasn't.
Are you familiar with a court order ordering you to come back to Tallahassee from South Florida?
I'm not familiar with that.
When you moved out from the marital home there on Trescott Drive, you lived at another residence in Tallahassee, is that correct?
I did.
And do you recall the address there?
I do. 3303 Aqua Ridge Way.
Okay. And was and do you recall the address there?
I do. 3303 Aqua Ridge Way.
Okay. And was there a time during the time that you were living there at Aqua Ridge that you determined that you would like to move to South Florida with the children?
There was.
All right. And were your parents very involved in trying to facilitate that relocation?
My parents were supportive of me moving to South Florida.
Would you describe your parents as being over involved in your personal business?
As compared to other people's parents?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know? Seriously? They're not involved? Give us another.
What was the child custody schedule when you were living at Aqua Ridge? And I assume Mr. Markell continued to live in the marital home on Trescott?
He did.
Okay. What was the custody situation with the kids?
So the custody situation changed over time and depending on the part of the year. But I think in the beginning, we would do a Wednesday night overnight. It was about 50-50 shared custody, but I don't remember the exact arrangement. I do remember in the summertime it would switch to week on, week off, but during the school year it was slightly different.
So still 50-50, but not necessarily every other week. It was mixed up within the week.
It was.
Okay. And you mentioned that you did develop a desire to move to South Florida. Did you file a motion to that effect on January 14th, 2013?
That sounds, I did file a motion. I don't remember the exact date,
Okay.
but that sounds about right.
All right. And in that motion, did you make some allegations that Mr. Markell was making things difficult for you at work?
I did.
Okay. And was that motion granted or denied?
That motion was denied.
All right. Denied with prejudice?
I don't remember.
Okay.
If you have it, I'm happy to take a look.
Okay. But in any event, you were not able to move at that time.
I did not move.
And were you upset about being stuck in Tallahassee?
I was relieved.
Yeah,
You were
sure.
relieved. You wanted to stay in Tallahassee.
Sure. So why did you submit the motion then?
I was happy at my job.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay, this is maybe the third lie, fourth lie. I don't know. And we're 12 minutes in, and this is the fourth lie, maybe. I was relieved to stay in Tallahassee So why did you submit the motion in the first place? Was it your parents that were pressuring you to do that? Just minutes ago, she asked you if they were involved and you said, I don't know. Then that would say that they are involved, that they are very much controlling and involved, actually. Because we're not talking now about just you, we're talking about a family that you have, a family that they are separating by pressuring you to file a motion and move from Tallahassee. This is one option. If you really were relieved, I mean that, or if you were lying, why are you lying? Why did you submit the motion? I don't know.
Okay. Do you recall when your divorce to Mr. Markell became final?
The summer of 2013.
Okay. July 31st sound about right?
That sounds right.
Would you consider your divorce with Mr. Markell to be a nasty divorce?
I think most divorces aren't very pleasant.
Okay, but this one was like really unpleasant, right?
I found getting divorced to be unpleasant, yes.
And in the litigation that ensued between the two of you, you guys argued over things as small as a tennis racket, I noticed in one pleading.
I don't remember that.
Did he threaten to press kidnapping charges against you?
Overruled.
I don't remember that. No.
Did he threaten to go after your law license? Remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
Do you remember him saying you failed to disclose a bunch of assets in the divorce process?
I do remember that.
Okay. Did you guys have any mediations as part of your divorce?
We did have mediations leading up to settlement.
2 8-hour mediations, correct?
I don't remember how long they were, but they seemed very long.
Yeah, and they both did not result in a resolution.
They did not.
I don't know, how did they two get married? I don't know, how did they do that? They seem, I don't know.
All right, but you did reach a settlement, I think kind of just on the eve of a trial on the matter, correct?
That sounds right.
Do you remember this motion that was filed by your deceased ex-husband on March 26, 2014, involving, among other things, that had to do with your mother, an allegation that your mother was disparaging the children? I'm sorry.
Overruled.
Disparaging him to the children is what I meant to say. Are you familiar with that pleading?
I am familiar with that pleading.
All right. And in that pleading, did he allege that you were depriving him of physical access to the children?
I don't remember the specifics.
Do you recall whether he was complaining about?
I think you would remember if your husband submitted a motion that says that you are denying any physical contact or like being together with their father, the kids being together with their father. I think you would remember that.
You refusing to communicate with him about right of first refusal to the children during your time with them?
I know he was frustrated about the Skyping.
Lack of communication via Skype.
It's hard
he
to
and the
Skype
children.
with two toddlers, yes.
All right.
Why is that super funny to her? Why? It's hard to... Two children. My daughter is 4 years old and she will hold my phone and talk to her grandparents back home. They're far away, so she will talk to them by herself on the phone. Seriously? I mean, why is it hard to Skype with their father? Why is it so hard?
Okay. And in that motion, do you recall him being upset about an allegation that you let the kids eat non-kosher foods?
I remember him being upset about that in general, but I don't remember whether it was an emotion or not.
What does that mean, non-kosher foods?
So kosher rules have to do with the separation of milk and meat, or dairy and meat. So non-kosher foods would be meat that hasn't been killed in a way that conforms with Jewish law. or the mixing of the two.
And is observing those types of eating habits something that's important to you?
It is not important to me.
And was it something that was important to Dan Markell?
It was important to Danny.
It was important to him that the children observed that way of eating, correct?
It was.
And in that motion, did he seek to restrict your mother's contact with the kids to supervised visits only?
I don't remember, but if you'd like to show me the motion, I can take a look.
Okay, but you don't remember that portion?
No.
All right. Do you remember the allegation that your mother made statements to the children that grandma hates you?
So rude.
Grandma says you're stupid. Your father is trying to take my sunshines away. Anything like that? Do you recall?
No, but again, I'm happy to look at it if you'd like to show me.
I understand. Do you recall that Mr. Markell was seeking sanctions against you personally in that motion?
I don't remember that.
Do you know whether this would
So she doesn't remember anything of the
have
motion?
been a motion that you would have shown to your mother? Would she have been aware of it?
I probably would have shown my mom the motion.
Is it fair to say that your parents are very protective of you?
I think that's fair to say.
Is it fair to say that your brother is very protective of you?
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. What about Dan Markell? Did your family like him?
Do you want to specify a point in time?
Well, I'm specifically thinking of a statement you made in the interview after his death, where you indicated that your parents were very angry with him. Is that accurate?
At that point in time, during our divorce, I do think they were angry with him. They felt like he had treated me badly.
And the motion to preclude your mom from having unsupervised contact with your kids, that was still pending at the time of his murder, correct?
That's possible. I mean, I don't think anyone took that motion very seriously.
Okay. Did your mom take it seriously?
I don't think so.
Did Dan Markell take it seriously?
I don't know how Danny felt about a motion. If he wrote the motion, he was probably taking it seriously.
Yeah, you don't say. So next time, do not say that no one was taking it seriously. Just say, me and my mom, we never took it seriously. It's not everyone.
I want to approach with some emails. Have you had an opportunity to review State's Exhibit 80?
I don't know if you want to do it now or I'm going to request a sidebar.
What's that?
I'm going to request a sidebar.
The letter of intent.
Zach was diagnosed with leukemia. He died of
Sure, this is the exhibit you seen previously.
I've been shown these exhibits.
Okay. And are these exhibits fair and accurate copies of emails between yourself and your mother, Donna Adelson?
They are.
And the email addresses on this exhibit, donnaharvey@gmail.com. Whose address is that?
My parents have a joint email address.
Okay, but you were communicating with one of them in particular.
Whoever signed the email, but it could be from either or both of them.
Okay, either could have used it, but you can deduce from who signed it who this one was from.
That sounds right.
Okay, and Wendi Adelson@gmail.com, is that you?
That is me.
All right. Judge, at this time I ask you to open up the State's Exhibit.
We'll go sidebar. Let me give a brief legal explanation to the jury. You've heard a number of hearsay objections about things that were said by Mr. Markell, things that are in these emails by another person who may not be testifying. Normally, we refer to those things as hearsay, and they're
not allowed without the person actually testifying, but there are a whole bunch of exceptions to that. And one of the exceptions to that is when it's not being offered to prove that what's said is true, but simply to show that it has been said because there's some relevance to the fact that these statements were made. So I am not offering these statements to show they're true. These persons, I mean, obviously Mr. Markell can't be here for us to have cross-examination of him. We don't anticipate that the other Miss Adelson will be here as a witness. We can't test. The attorneys will not be able to test that to see whether that's true or not, but I am allowing it for limited purpose to show state of mind of these persons. So you may proceed, Ms. Kappelman.
I noticed in the emails that your mother referring to, who I think is Dan Markell, as Jibbers. What does that mean?
Jibbers was a nickname that I gave Danny when he was being really difficult and causing me a lot of pain. Was sort of a nickname I gave him to make him feel less threatening.
So it was a derogatory thing.
I wouldn't say it was derogatory.
Did you call him that to his face?
No, I called him Danny to his face.
Okay.
And gibbers would be what? How would you spell that?
I don't know that I ever spelled it out. In the emails, I think it's spelled with a J, but I guess you could spell it with a G.
Jibbers.
That would be one way to.
Ms. Adelson, you had Mr. Markell's phone number programmed into your phone as Jibbers, didn't you?
That's right.
I don't know if I ever spelled it. And then the prosecution is like, you had it on your phone. Oh my God. Why?
Do you know much about your brother Charles Adelson's business practices?
I know that he does implant surgery.
Mm-hmm. Do you know anything about whether he offers discounts for cash or does a lot of business in cash?
I have no idea.
Do you know if there's a safe in your parents' house that has stacks of cash inside?
I don't know about a safe with stacks of cash.
So you don't have a stack of cash in your parents' safe that's Wendy's stack?
No.
Okay. Did Charlie Adelson like Dan Markell? And again, I'm referring to the time frame before his death.
I mean, I think he was also, he would listen to me when I would tell him about things I was upset about at the time with the divorce. So whether he liked him or didn't like him, he certainly was supportive of me.
Okay, but he never expressed any dislike?
No.
Really?
Did he mention hiring a hitman to kill your husband?
Objection, hearsay.
No.
How no? What do you mean no?
Did he ever joke about he looked into hiring a hitman, but buying you a TV as a divorce present would be cheaper?
He did make that joke. He tended to repeat himself, and sometimes he would make jokes that weren't very funny about all kinds of things.
All right. And was that TV, did he buy you a TV as a divorce present?
He did.
And was that TV the same TV that was being repaired at your residence at the time that your husband was murdered?
It was.
Who made the arrangements for that TV repair?
I did.
Your mom didn't make those arrangements?
I don't believe so.
And the repairman was at your house that morning that your husband died between 8:30 and 9:15. Do you agree with that?
I remember he was supposed to come between 8 and noon, and then he ended up coming on the early side.
That's when he arrived, between 8:30 and 9:15.
It's my best recollection.
Did Charlie ever say that he considered all possible options to take care of the problem being Dan Markell?
I remember objections to conflict.
Oh.
No, I just have a standing objection to that.
You bet.
Did he ever say that?
No.
Mr. Markell, did Charlie Adelson take you out for a celebration dinner?
No.
Do you recall any dinner where shortly after Mr. Markell's death where you were with Mr. Charlie Adelson and vomited?
I do remember that dinner. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, I interrupted you.
After Danny died, I was terrified that someone was going to come after me or my children and harm us as well. And so I didn't leave my house for about a month. And when I finally felt ready to leave the house and have dinner, I told my brother that I wanted to have dinner, that I was ready to finally go to a restaurant and eat a meal again. And I'd barely eaten for a full month, just out of grief and shock. And so that night, when I finally ate for the first time, they ended up taking a while before they sat us, and they sat us at the bar, and I had a drink, and I wasn't used to eating anything or drinking alcohol, and I threw up at the table. The only time in my life I've done something like that, but it was certainly not a celebration.
And you never heard your brother refer to it in that way?
No.
Were you involved in any way in a plot to kill Dan Markell?
No.
Do you have any knowledge other than the statements you said your brother made or the jokes your brother made? Do you have any knowledge of anyone being involved in a plot to kill your husband?
No.
Do you know Catherine Magbanwa?
I have met her before.
How do you know her?
We met one time at dinner when I came home, and my brother introduced me to her. And I think we might have gone to the beach once with her and a friend for a few hours.
So you did not meet her, you went with her to the beach. What kind of acquaintances go to the beach and have a photo, have a photo with each other like this and very close to each other at the beach? I don't know how many of you go with their acquaintances to the beach. You could have said, yes, I know Katie. She's my brother's ex-girlfriend. It was that simple. Why did you have to go like this? Yes, I've met her once, and I believe we went with her to the beach.
Let me show you what I've marked as states
The answers could be very simple and straightforward, but even with the simplest, she's making a little bit of, I don't know. She could have said yes. Instead, she said, I've met her before.
Exhibit 36. Is that a photograph of you and Catherine Magbanwa at the beach?
With her friend, yes.
Okay, and do you remember the friend's name?
I don't.
All right, is this a fair and accurate photograph from that event?
That looks like the three of us at the beach, yes.
Do you recall when this was taken?
I don't.
Okay, it was Father's Day weekend 2014, is that correct?
So June 2014, that's
Yes, ma'am.
possible.
Those were the days, my friend. You thought they never end.
Son las 3.
Da-na-na-na. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right here because I have commitments to go to. If you really like this video, please do a like, subscribe, comment, anything that would help me know that you like this kind of videos. If you would like a part 2 of analyzing and commentary, please let me know. Any suggestions, please let me know. Also, yeah, that's it. Okay, have a good evening, guys, and happy weekend.